Hey there everyone, welcome to a brand new explainer. Today, we are going to explore a truly magical ancient folktale. It's this incredible story filled with mystery, kindness, and, well, a giant delicious tree. Our story is called The Two Brothers and the Mango Tree. So, are you ready for an adventure? Let's dive right in.
Now, before we jump into our tale, I want you to think about something for just a second. Have you ever had to share your absolute favorite treat? Maybe it was a giant chocolate chip cookie, a big bowl of ice cream, or even a shiny new toy. It can be really hard to share sometimes, right? Well, hold on to that feeling, because sharing is exactly what this incredible story is all about.
Section 1. The Brave King's Journey, a midnight adventure in a dark forest. So our story actually starts a long time ago with the super brave ruler named King Vikram. He was the king of a place called Ujjain. Now, I want you to picture this. It is the middle of the night. The moon is totally hidden behind the clouds. King Vikram is walking through this really dark, spooky forest just to keep a promise he made to a wise sage. And deep in that forest, hanging way up in an ancient twisty banyan tree, was a spirit named Betaal. Now, without showing even a tiny bit of fear, the brave King Vikram just lifted that spirit right onto his shoulder and started walking.
But listen, Betaal wasn't just going to sit there quietly. He looked right at the king and said, "Vikram, our journey is long. Let me tell you a story. But remember, if you know the answer to my question and still remain silent, your head will shatter into 1,000 pieces." Oh my goodness, right? Talk about a high-stakes riddle. But the brave king, he just kept walking silently, listening closely as Betaal began his magical tale.
Section 2. The Two Caring Brothers. A special gift from their father. And so, Betaal's story begins. We travel far away from that dark forest, straight into a bright, warm, and super peaceful little village. And in this village lived two brothers who loved each other very much.
Let's meet our main characters. First up, we have Madhav, the elder brother. And then we have Gopi, the younger brother. Now, before their father passed away, he really wanted to leave his sons something special to remember him by. So he gave them this wonderful gift. It was a beautiful, leafy mango tree. He told them they absolutely had to share it equally. And for years, they did exactly that. Every single summer, that tree was just packed with the sweetest, juiciest mangoes you could ever imagine.
Section 3. The Terrible Drought. A very hot and dry summer. But, just like in all good stories, a problem popped up. One year, things were different. The village experienced something called a terrible drought. It was a very hot and very dry summer.
Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is a drought? Well, a drought is a really long period of time with absolutely no rain. That makes it super hard for plants and trees to grow. And because the ground was just so dry and thirsty, the magical mango tree didn't have nearly enough water to make all of its usual fruit. It was really struggling.
In fact, because of this drought, the tree only grew 10 single mangoes the entire summer. That's right, just 10. Usually, there were literally hundreds of them, but now only 10 little mangoes hung from the branches for the two brothers to share.
So here's the big question. How on earth were they going to share such a small amount of food? Well, the older brother, Madhav, he had a very fair idea. He said, "Let's divide them equally. 5 for you and 5 for me." It made perfect sense, right? So they each took their 5 mangoes, put them in their little baskets, and went to their separate homes for the evening.
Section 4. The Midnight Mango Mystery, a secret plan in the dark. Later that night, while the rest of the whole village was fast asleep, a midnight mango mystery kicked off. Both brothers were lying completely awake in their beds, and get this, they both hatched a secret plan in the dark.
If we peek into their thoughts, we can see exactly what was going on. Younger brother Gopi was laying there thinking, my brother Madhav has 3 kids to feed. I don't even have a family yet. He definitely needs these mangoes way more than I do. But at the exact same time, Madhav was thinking, my younger brother Gopi is just starting out in life. He needs these mangoes way more than I do. Do you see what's happening here? Instead of worrying about themselves, they were totally worried about each other.
So let's see how this turns into a really funny mix-up. Step 1. Under the cover of pitch black darkness, Gopi sneaks out and secretly places his 5 mangoes right into Madhav's basket. Step 2. Completely unaware of this, Madhav quietly sneaks out and places his 5 mangoes into Gopi's basket. Which brings us to step 3. The very next morning, both brothers look in their baskets and, wait, what? They are shocked.
Both baskets still have exactly 5 mangoes in them. It was honestly like magic.
They were so confused. So the next night, they both decided to try their kind secret little act all over again. They packed up their baskets, tiptoed out of their houses in the dark, walked down the path, and boom, they bumped right into each other in the exact middle of the path. When they looked down and saw each other carrying the mangoes meant for the other brother, they finally realized what had happened the night before. They just dropped their baskets, gave each other a giant hug, and laughed with joy.
Now, some of the other villagers were actually awake and saw this totally beautiful moment of love and selflessness between the brothers. The village elder was so incredibly moved by their kindness that he actually built a small, beautiful little shrine right beneath that mango tree. And on it, he carved these wonderful words: "Where people share with love, true wealth lives forever."
Section 5. The Clever Ghost's Question. Can you solve the riddle? And suddenly, whoosh, we are right back in that dark, spooky forest. Betaal the spirit had just finished telling his magical story to King Vikram, and now it was time for the clever ghost to ask his tricky question.
Betaal leaned in really close to the king's ear and whispered, "Tell me, Vikram, which brother was truly richer?" Now, before we hear what the king said, I want you to think about it for a second. Go ahead, shout your answer out loud right now, wherever you're sitting. Who do you think was richer? Was it Madhav with his family, or Gopi who was just starting out?
Section 6. The Lesson of True Wealth, the King's Wise Answer. Okay, let's see if you got it right. King Vikram didn't even hesitate for a second. He knew exactly what the lesson of true wealth was, and he gave a very, very wise answer. King Vikram just smiled at the spirit and replied, "Neither gold nor land makes a person rich. Both brothers were equally rich." He explained that love, generosity, and selflessness, well, those are the absolute greatest treasures in the whole world. The brothers were equally rich simply because they cared way more for each other than they cared for themselves.
Well, when Betaal heard this absolutely perfect answer, he just burst out into a booming laugh. "Ha ha ha! Vikram, once again you have spoken." And because the king broke his silence to answer the riddle correctly, swoosh! Betaal flew right off the king's shoulder and zipped all the way back up to the very top of that ancient banyan tree. So poor King Vikram had to start his whole midnight journey all over again.
Now, even though King Vikram had to keep walking, we actually get to walk away with a really beautiful lesson today. First, true wealth is not measured by possessions. I mean, it's not about how many toys or mangoes or just things you have. Second, true wealth is actually made of love and kindness. And third, true wealth is found in your willingness to share what you have with others, exactly like Madhav and Gopi did.
So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with one final, super important question. How are you going to share your true wealth of kindness with your family or friends today? You know, maybe you can share a toy with a brother or sister, or help your parents out with a chore, or honestly, just give someone a really big hug. Just remember, exactly like those brothers in the mango tree, the more kindness you share, the richer you truly become. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.
Like, share and subscribe for more videos.